Analysis with file pump prices. Biden difficult pressed to ramp up Russia sanctions. Washington as the Biden administration contemplates increasing punitive measures on Russia for its invasion of Ukraine, a big hurdle lies closer to domestic, the American client. U.S. drivers are embarking on summer vacations with gas fees averaging extra than $5 a gallon for the first time ever. And rising oil and herbal gasoline charges are supporting to enhance inflation to the highest degree in for a long time, riding up charges for food, electricity and housing. Tougher sanctions on Russia, many of the international's largest oil and fuel providers, would possibly simplest make that worse. It's like kicking them even as they may be down, stated Ellen Wald, and strength historian and a senior fellow on the Atlantic Council Assume Tank, stated about the chance of actions that would make fees better for U.S. gasoline customers. The United States and Europe have already imposed a raft measures targeting Russia's oil exports, the lifeblood of its economic system and its war system, such as export controls, a U.S. ban on Russian energy imports, a partial EU ban on electricity imports. But the Biden administration is likewise mulling so-called secondary sanction to ramp up the pressure. U.S. officials, as an instance, are in talks with European and Asian allies approximately enforcing ability price caps on purchases of Russian oil, Deputy Treasury Secretary Wally Adeyemo said on Tuesday. Some officials trust rate caps are amongst numerous strategies that would deepen Russia's economic pain without spiking worldwide oil markets, similarly due to the fact best the revenues might be cut, now not volumes of oil going to marketplace. What is occurring is much less approximately how tons Russian oil is going off the market, and extra approximately Russia's declining oil earnings as end result of being pressured to promote at steep discounts, a State Department spokesperson instructed. But stepping up economic conflict moves on Russia without boosting charges will not be easy. Russia, for example, could retaliate by conserving oil from the market. That ought to at once force expenses better as the arena's oil producers have little or no spare ability after years of underinvestment in oil fields and refineries. Every time there may be speak about sanctions, the fee is going up, said Wald. In overdue May, for example, international benchmark Brent crude rose to two-month highs of nearly $124 a barrel after the European Union sponsored a watered-down embargo on Russia's oil shipments. Officials at the Treasury Department, which administers sanctions, and the White House National Security Council did not at once respond to a request for remark. When requested, while secondary sanctions can be located on Russian oil purchases and under what instances, a U.S. legit stated nothing had been decided. Western sanctions are anticipated to gradually cut into Russia's crude exports next year, in step with the International Energy Agency (IEA). But thus far Russia has been able to find new customers by means of discounting its fees. India, as an example, last month nearly tripled its Russian crude purchases, while China has additionally picked up more Russian barrels. And in May, Russia's oil sales rose as higher global prices and regular crude exports outweighed those discounts, the IEA said. India's purchases had been on Washington's radar for months, with a U.S. professional caution in March it can be uncovered to super chance of stepped-up sanctions if it purchases oil drastically past levels of preceding years. Price cap manipulation risk. Besides price caps, the USA may also don't forget sanctions on entities that provide insurance or services to Russian cargoes, wherein transactions exceed a fixed rate according to Beryl. But enforcement of such measures would take time and resources. I do not think it's practical, said Pavel Molchanov, a coping with director at Raymond James Funding Bank in Houston. Oil is an exceptionally liquid and competitive market and there's no sensible way of imposing any form of price limit up or down. Richard Nephew, a former sanctions legit at the U.S. State Department below President Joe Biden and previous President Barack Obama, became doubtful about each techniques, in particular approximately price caps, that have in no way been tried earlier than on a manufacturer of Russia's size. The rate cap is so prone to being manipulated, and the way do you verify that device? Nephew said. Instead, he believes Washington could paintings with banks in different ingesting nations to place Russia's revenue from oil sales into escrow accounts, money that Russia could best faucet for authorized goods and services. But high gas costs and the inflation it helps power are a vulnerability for Biden and his fellow Democrats as the November